A new analysis says the tariffs drive up the price of a new vehicle by about $12,000. And Ford CEO Jim Farley has said that if these 25% tariffs kick in, they would, quote, blow a hole in the U.S. industry that we've never seen.
For more than a century, Ford has been the backbone of American industry, a symbol of resilience, innovation, and the blue-collar worker. But now, in a move that no one saw coming, the company has made a decision that is sending shockwaves through the economy, politics, and the future of American jobs. Some are calling it a betrayal, a move that undermines everything Ford once stood for. Others say it's the only way Ford can survive in an industry undergoing rapid transformation. But this isn't just about corporate strategy. This is a direct challenge to Donald Trump's economic vision.
You know, they get a lot of subsidies from the government, so we have to work with our government to make sure it's a fair playing field.
With a single announcement, Ford has thrown itself into the center of a battle that could define the future of American manufacturing, electric vehicles, and the global economy. And the fallout? It's only just beginning. What does this mean for American workers? How will this reshape the electric vehicle industry? And is this just the beginning of a much bigger economic war? Stay with us, because this is a story you won't want to miss. The bombshell nobody saw coming. At first, it seemed like just another corporate update, another press release buried among the usual business reports. But as the details emerged, the true scale of the announcement became clear. Ford was no longer playing by Donald Trump's rules. The automaker had just confirmed that a significant portion of its electric vehicle production would be moved overseas. For a company so deeply intertwined with the American auto industry, this was nothing short of a declaration of war. And the response? Immediate and explosive. News outlets rushed to cover the story, social media erupted, and Americans were left divided. Some praised Ford's decision, calling it a necessary adaptation in a changing global economy. Others called it an act of betrayal, an abandonment of American workers who had stood by the company for generations. Union leaders, industry analysts, and political figures from both sides of the aisle jumped into the debate. Was Ford making a bold strategic move? Or was this the beginning of the end for American auto manufacturing? But this decision didn't come out of nowhere. Ford had been struggling behind the scenes for months, caught in the crossfire of economic policies, supply chain disruptions, and intensifying global competition. And when the moment came to choose between survival and loyalty, the company made a decision that no one expected. But why now? What forced Ford's hand? The answer is even more shocking than the announcement itself. The hidden battle behind the scenes. To understand why Ford made this move, you have to look beneath the surface, at the forces that have been shaping the auto industry's future for years. At the heart of the conflict lies a single issue: the cost of production. Donald Trump's strict protectionist policies, meant to keep jobs in the U.S., had unintended consequences for manufacturers like Ford. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and lithium, essential for electric vehicle batteries, drove up costs. Supply chain disruptions made production unstable and unpredictable. International competitors, free from these restrictions, were producing electric vehicles at a fraction of the cost. Ford executives saw the writing on the wall. If they continued producing EVs domestically, they would become less competitive on a global scale. And with Tesla, European automakers, and Chinese manufacturers racing ahead in the EV market, Ford couldn't afford to fall behind. It was a choice between adapting or becoming obsolete. But moving production overseas? That wasn't just a business decision. It was a political grenade waiting to explode. And it wasn't long before Donald Trump took the stage. Trump's explosive reaction. If Ford thought this decision would go unnoticed, they were dead wrong. Trump responded immediately. At a massive rally, he took the stage, furious, his voice booming with rage. "Ford has turned its back on the American worker," he roared. "They are shipping your jobs overseas while you are left to pick up the pieces. We built Ford. The American worker built Ford. And this is how they repay us?" the crowd erupted in outrage. Trump vowed retaliation, penalties, tariffs, revoked government contracts. Everything was on the table. Ford executives expected the backlash, but they didn't back down. Because this wasn't just about politics, this was about the survival of the company. And Ford was about to make that very clear to the entire world. Ford's counterattack: why they aren't backing down. Instead of apologizing or backtracking, Ford did something no one expected. They doubled down. In a carefully worded press release, the company made their position clear. Ford has always been committed to innovation. Our priority is to remain at the forefront of the electric vehicle revolution. This move is essential to ensuring our long-term success and ability to compete globally. In other words, this isn't about Trump. This isn't about politics. This is about winning the future. Ford isn't just shifting production overseas. They are investing billions into battery technology, global expansion, and securing the resources needed to dominate the EV market. And that's when the story took another turn. Because Trump wasn't the only one Ford was fighting.
We've been number 2 to Tesla for 3 years now, and we learned a lot from those customers. And we think that the pure EV industry is going to start to circle in on the duty cycle that makes most sense for that customer, where frankly it's cheaper to operate the vehicles in electric than a combustion.
The Tesla factor: why Ford made this move now. Ford's biggest threat isn't Donald Trump, it's Elon Musk. Tesla has redefined the auto industry, setting new benchmarks in EV technology, battery efficiency, and direct-to-consumer sales. Ford has spent billions trying to catch up, but they aren't even close. Tesla has mastered production efficiency, allowing them to make EVs faster and cheaper. Tesla has perfected software integration, offering features that Ford can't compete with. Ford had no choice but to rethink everything. Their strategy? Go global. Reduce costs, secure resources, and expand beyond the US market. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't just lose to Tesla, they would cease to exist. But at what cost? The war is far from over. This isn't just about one company's decision. It's about the future of American industry. Ford has fired the first shot, but the war is far from over. Will other automakers follow Ford's lead? Can Trump force companies to keep jobs in the US? Will Ford's global expansion help them survive the EV revolution or destroy them? One thing is certain, this fight is just beginning. So tell us, do you think Ford is making the right move? Or are they betraying American workers? Let's talk in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of the biggest automotive news, hit that subscribe button, because this story isn't over yet.